Yeah, I'd like to start off by thanking Karen Huff for her 20 years of service to UGA. I think that's pretty remarkable, and she was here out here. Thank you for all you've done. I know at UGA we appreciate it, and Claude does, and I do. I'm thrilled for this day to get here, excited to find out how a lot of these new guys learn. You know, I mean, it's hard when you're out there in summer workouts to see if a guy learns well, see what a guy does, but when you get in these meetings and you do these walkthroughs and you have a lot of stuff going on really fast, you find out a lot about guys. There's only so much you can get done in shorts, and we're going to be in shorts for 2 practices, but as we move out of shorts, we'll find out a lot about guys. Football is a tough, physical, demanding game, and we have a camp window, we call it, and we've been in these seats that you guys are in right now, and we've been talking about being demanding, being physical. These practices are not easy. The idea is to create adversity for your team, find out who the leaders are, and we're going to be able to do that. You know, not necessarily right away because you've got shorts on, but as you move into it and you get into scrimmages, you move guys up and down the depth chart and you find out where they, how they respond to things and how they react. But I would be remiss if I didn't say something about the summer plan. I think so many people, the summer program goes unnoticed, and I think the people behind the scenes in that, Scott Sinclair, Ed Ellis, Aaron Fels, Rodney Prince, and Jameel Walker, our strength staff, those 5 guys, I think, do a tremendous job. And that goes kind of unnoticed, uncovered, but not by us as coaches. You know, our coaching staff spent a little more time this summer with our players, maximizing the time we could be with them. You know, some staff choose to not be out there with them at all. Some choose to be out there more than others. But for the things that we were allowed to be out there for, we were there because we felt like there's 20 to 25 guys that are going to be impacted our roster this year and be able to play and help us. So we wanted to see those guys work early on. We were able to do that. Now the next step is, can they learn? Can they do the things? Can they play physical and move around? We certainly have some goals for this camp. You know, the areas of concern and areas of improvement for us, special teams will be number 1. We're going to try to change things up special teams wise. As you guys know, from a quality control standpoint, Scott Fountain has joined us, who I think did a tremendous job over at Auburn, always has. He brought a lot of insight to our coaches, and he's going to help us be a better special teams and just in practice, organization, and things we do. But we have to improve in that area. You know, we counted, I think we had I want to say it was 250 snaps on special teams played by true freshmen last year. So the question becomes, can the true freshmen this year unseat some of those guys or create a competitive environment to make each one of those better? We've got to improve in our kicking units. That's punting, kickoff, coverage, return game, everything. But we plan to do that. We'll do that in camp. Offense, obviously throwing the ball more efficient is a big goal of ours, because I think if you throw the ball efficiently, you'll be able to run the ball with the backs we got. When you can't throw the ball, it makes it hard. It doesn't matter who your backs are. And we're going to have a lot of shuffling across the offensive line throughout camp. I'm excited about the opportunity for those guys. I think they're up to the challenge. I think it's going to be a really key, integral part for our success to figure out who are the best 8, who are the best 10, how many do we have that can play winning football on the offensive line. And you can't find that out on day 1, guys. You can't find it out on day 2 because you still got shorts on. But you start seeing who can learn and who's really serious about it early on. And then the red area offense was not where it needs to be. We have to score touchdowns, and we got to cash the ball in. Which when you get in the red area and the field shrinks, you have to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball because the throwing area is very short. And I know that from being a defensive coordinator, and I also know that defensively we got to improve in the red area. That was probably statistically the worst thing we did on defense last year was red area. So with that in mind, we practiced it a lot last year. We practiced it more in the spring. We're going to even focus on it more this fall camp so we can improve in that area. And then obviously the pass rush, creating turnovers, things that you always emphasize on defense, we'll continue to do that. You know, that was one of the areas that we were actually positive, almost reached our goal in, was the turnover ratio. So giving up 19, gaining 27, that's the window you want to be in. Now, sure, I'd like to be better than that, but that's the window you'd like to be in. But there were so many other areas that we were deficient in that we've got to improve that. And we think we've done that through getting a good group of freshmen in here and also developing our older players. Before I get started with the questions, I'm going to update on some guys. I'm glad to welcome Keel Crumpton and David Marvin to our roster. Both those guys are joining our team. I do not have any updates. I'm sure you'll ask 1,000 times, but I might as well tell you now. Don't have any new updates on Robert Bill or Devontae White. That's still an ongoing process, and a lot of places across the country are experiencing the same thing, waiting on guys to qualify, get eligible. Trenton and Roquan are both cleared to go. I know you guys probably know that or have asked that, but Trenton and Roquan are both good to go. Shekinah has applied for a medical exemption. We think we'll get that back any day now. The only other thing, I think some people had asked about Odell Thurman. Odell Thurman has joined our strength staff as an intern. He's there as an intern. He's not, we're only allowed to have 5 coaches, so he's allowed to do what an intern does. And we're glad to have Odell helping out in the weight room, assisting in the roles that he's allowed to. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
If you have a question, raise your hand and we get one of these 4 mics to you. Hands up.
Kirby, on Akil Crumpton, how did you guys discover him? Kind of a JUCO guy, not well known, and is it fair to compare him? I know I've seen some people trying to compare him to Isaiah McKenzie. Does he fit that role?
Yeah, that's, we combed the country looking for an elite returner. We didn't feel like we had an elite returner. We really don't have any experienced returners. We lost 2 guys. Isaiah had done it so long and weren't really expecting to lose him. So when that situation arises, you try to fix your roster as fast as you can. I certainly think that Terry Godwin is very capable. He's got great hands. He's got some of the best hands and judgment I've ever seen on a receiver in Terry. So I have no concerns about Terry as a possession guy catching the ball. Still to be determined whether he's an elite returner. We're going to give him an opportunity to compete for that position, and that's one of the things special teams wise we're trying to do different this camp. We're probably going to do some live returns to find out on those guys. We can't test them September 2nd. We got to find out before then. But we identified him as a guy that we thought was a really good player. Of course, we watched tape on him and thought he really did a good job. He was not going to be eligible for the SEC unless he took a math at his home college out there in California, so he was able to do that. And we think that he upgrades our roster. He helps us. He's from Philly, where we've got DeAndre Swift and Matt Markwell. So both those guys knew him. And we did kind of our character background checks, and we thought that he could really help our team. So does he remind you of Isaiah? I think that's hard because we're just now laying our eyes on him. We really hadn't got to see him other than tape. So I would be remiss to say now. I got to wait and see kind of how practice goes. We put the pads on. He's built similar. Isaiah's pretty good, by the way.
Raise your hand.
Coach, I'm curious, you've been doing this for a while, so there's so much transition on your O-line, and obviously, a lot of unanswered questions this close to camp. I know you're not sitting there thinking that you can't get it done. Tell me how you can get it done, losing that much experience, and have you had examples in the past of having a really young line but being successful?
Well, I don't know that they're going to be really young. I think it's going to depend on how those 4 freshmen come along. I think inexperienced might be a better word, but not necessarily really young. We had 15 days of spring practice to watch the kids on our roster currently. To see Ben Cleveland grow, Pat Allen grow, see Lamont move inside, Dashawn Sims play a lot of multiple positions. A lot of guys have started to come on and help. Solomon Kinley got a lot better. So those guys that we were able to get right there at the end, I guess Ben doesn't count what Solomon did when we first got here. I got to see both those guys grow. That class didn't have a lot of linemen in it like we wanted. But those 2 guys have gotten better. Now the influx of these 4, including now the junior college kid, Mark Hayes, that was here, we've got more depth and competition across the board. So it's not necessarily saying, do you have the pieces to the puzzle? It's where do the pieces to the puzzle go? And we've got to figure that out early on. And I think you make a decision on day 3 or 4, you can make a fatal decision and put a guy somewhere he doesn't belong. You can put him up too fast. We got to let it happen, and we've got kind of a 12 to 14 practice schedule where when we have a scrimmage, we're going to be able to say, okay, game 4, this guy's going to be ahead of this guy. Let's get him in the spot. Might cost you an offsides early. Might cost you a long assignment early. But where's he going to be game 3, 4, 5, 6 as opposed to right now we're the best one? Because we had to go play right now. We'd have to go like we did in the spring, right? You can't just go stick a guy out there that's never done it. But we got to give these guys an opportunity to do it. And that's where the summer, the off season, all the things they were able to do, we're hoping we get some help with it.
Hey, Coach, talking defensively, How much has Roquan grown from sitting out this past spring and being able to watch and coach a lot, like you said the role was going to be, in the development of Tyreek McGee?
All right, let me get this in the right order. Then Roquan is really special. You know, I've never had a kid, even the years that I've been at other places, that was able to lead while being out and being injured. That's hard to do. I mean, put yourself in that situation. You're not out there. It's hot. It's 100 degrees. You've got pads on, and you're not practicing, and they are. But yet you're still willing to go and say, "Come on, we got to pick it up. That wasn't good enough." And y'all can say what you want all the time about I made it up about the defense. We were getting our butts kicked early in spring practice. All right, and he was one of the guys that was confronting people, and I was very impressed with that. He's continued that role. Okay, so we talked to him about, hey, look, you got to be the leader whether you're out there or not. Well, now he's out there. He's out there every day. He's backing it up. You know, there was a day we conditioned in the summer that he was just first coming back, and this guy, what we say is you get to a point of failure. He got to failure real quick. He had not done anything. But he didn't shy away from it. So many kids shy away from failure because they don't want to get to that point. Not Roquan. He hit it head on. Well, by the end of the summer, he was jumping up there running with receivers and DBs instead of running with the linebackers because they had to make faster times. So he caught up quick. So I'm excited about where he is. He has to do it with consistency, but effort has never been a question for that young man. And then Tyreek McGee is a guy who's a really serious football player. I would put Tyreek up there as one of our best tacklers. And I learned a long time ago when you sign a young man from Peach County, he's going to know how to tackle. Because one thing they do is they knock the hell out of each other. And they play tough physical football. And Tyreek identifies that each day. And we're excited to have him. You know, Tyreek's one of those guys that's going to be in a big competition. Who's going to replace Mo Smith at the Nickel Star is one of our biggest questions. And Tyreek's in the thick of that. But he's also in the thick of corner. And he also had the #1 special team snaps of all our true freshmen. So he's a guy really counting on for leadership.
Thanks, Coach.
Kirby, obviously the transition from year 1 to year 2 is going to be a common theme all year. I'm sure it is internally and will be externally. As you look back, if you could look back at Alabama, what you remember there from year 1 there and sort of what happened in the offseason, and can you apply any of that to now?
I think that's a great analogy. I actually, last night, had a guy that we used consulting with our team, Trevor Mowat, who does a great job. He actually sent me some bits and pieces of video from this day, the second year at Alabama. Now, it was just the players. It wasn't the coach. It was just the players, and the players talking about how they felt much more comfortable understanding what the standard was, what the expectation was, and that no matter what, you can't really relax out at practice because you don't know what's coming. To expect the unexpected. We've tried that a lot here to make these guys not be comfortable. In summer workouts, we'd say the workout's going to be one thing, and then we'd change it while we're out there to make them kind of being uncomfortable. That's the experience we want. So I draw back on that year coming off of a pretty average year to saying that, hey, how are we going to get to the next spot? Well, the first way you get there is you get really good players on your roster. You improve that through your recruiting process. You develop the ones you got. So we're hoping to develop the ones we got. The biggest difference that I compare that to is you had a senior quarterback who was probably one of the best in the conference compared to a guy who's a sophomore coming into his second year that we're expecting high things from.
One quick follow-up. Even though Nick had won a national championship at LSU there, do you still remember that offseason after that first year, people kind of wondering if it was going to work at Alabama or dealing with doubts at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that way here. I think it's more when you come in as a second-year coach. When we got here, I knew I had coached against University of Georgia. I had recruited against University of Georgia. I pretty much knew what was here, and I knew the level of expectation that was here. But I also knew the expectation didn't necessarily meet the quality of players that were here. And I think that's indicative of what the NFL thought of our roster last year. So I think now, moving forward, as you start looking forward, you say, where are we going from here? Are the kids buying in? Are the kids doing what they got to do? And I think they are. They're adjusting well. They know what to expect. They know this camp's going to be tough and physical. They know we're going to tackle. So all those things are there, and that's what makes them feel a little bit better that they're in year 2 of the offense, year 2 of the system, and that stuff helps.
Hey, Coach, so following up on the offensive line comment, specifically with Saul McKinley, what do you say for him leading up to this point, and what does he need to do in order to keep that job with first team on the line?
Yeah, Solomon is a kid's real serious. He thinks football's really important to him, and I like those kind of players. He struggled last fall camp. Like when you just put him on a board drill, he could block most 3 techniques. He could block all our freshmen, but he struggled getting the call, coming to the line, doing a snap count. A lot of things that freshmen struggle with. Well, in the spring, he erased about 70 to 80% of those mistakes. Still had mistakes, but a lot less. And if he continues to do that, he's a powerful guard. That powerful guards can play because they can get movement. They can get their hands on people and get movement. And he's got to continue to do that. And he's got some guys that are coming in behind him. He's got the potential for tackles to move into guard, and we're going to play the best 5. So if he continues to do what he does, he should be fine. But he can't relax because we've got some great competition in that position.
Coach, what are your expectations on Richard LeCount and Nate McBride?
Yeah, I think expectations is a big word that you say for a freshman. What is the expectation? My expectation is to go out there today and know how to line up and do the 5 coverages we have in. That's my expectation. Then when we do special teams, my expectation is for them to be first in line and be first down in coverage because they're both fast, they're both physical, and that's it. Okay, I can't put an expectation to say you're going to start, you're going to be this on this. You can't do that to a kid. What you do is say, worry about day 1, and then we'll worry about day 2. Because we put a calendar up in here and we show them the calendar, we don't even look at the next day. We look at the day that we're on. And that's really all that matters. I know you guys want to forecast, you want to talk about the first game, you want to talk about the second game, but we don't do that. All we're thinking about is what's going to give Richard the best chance to be successful today. Nate, what's going to give him the best chance to be successful today? And if he does that for 28 days, 29 days, or 27 practices, he's going to be fine.
Got 2 more questions?
Kirby, when you look at the personnel you have entering this camp versus last year when you had quarterback questions, you had running backs that were coming back from injury, and the defensive guys you have coming back now. I mean, how does it feel in that sense? I know you mentioned laundry list of goals you have for this camp, but do you feel different in that regard?
I don't think you ever feel different when you come into the season because every team's different. I mean, it's a different set of problems, different set of issues. I mean, like I said, our biggest concern is what are our areas of focus and how do we get better at them. I think every college football team has those questions, but they change year to year. You're right. Last year it was running back, uncertainty at quarterback. Now the running back thing is the last question right now. I mean, knock on wood, you got to stay healthy, but we got a lot of running backs. It's how do you use these guys? How do we get these guys the ball with efficiency and throw the ball and catch the ball? Because they can run the ball. That's not the question. The question is, can we get them in situations that we have successful box count numbers to help them? Defensively, a lot of people talk about, well, you got everybody coming back. Yeah, well, we got a lot of guys that are in their second year, and sometimes their first year. The secondary is one of the spots nobody's talking about. We got guys back, but how well do those guys play? Do they play to the standard of what University of Georgia is? I don't think so. I can't sit here and say we played to the level of expectation that a secondary should play to. Who are their backups? I think we have 4 or 5 true freshmen in the 2 deep in the secondary. So they're one snap from playing. So it's like you got these guys that y'all know as vets that have been here a long time. I mean, Don, AD, Malcolm, DeAndre, those guys have been here a long time, played a lot of games. But the guy behind them just got here. So we have to be sure that we're developing those guys without holding the older guys back. And the older guys got to play better.
Kirby, you mentioned the team's goals. Going into your second year as head coach, are there any specific things you personally are striving to improve on with your coaching?
Our coaching, absolutely. I think the big demand for us is what can we do to do a better job helping our players be successful. To pinpoint one of those, the number one goal for me is to reach our goals. We have a goal on punt, we have a goal on kickoff, we have a goal on defense. For every statistic, we have a goal. We didn't reach many of those. Now, do you change your standard? Do you change your goals so you can make them? Or do you say, oh, well, we're not going to be very good in this area, let's lower it? No, the standard is what it is. And we've got to try to get to that point. But that's true in our coaching staff as well. Whether it's delegation of time, who's got what responsibility, all that's off-season stuff. Who's got what opponents, what your job is in the off-season. All those things have been delegated, and some are very similar last year, some are different. But in each, it is its own entity with each guy. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.